Mr. Martins, we are talking about, religion and how it affects our society positively and negatively. According to everything we have said, the negative side is much more
Outweighs the
compared
positive.
to the positive. So now we are talking about the impact in politics and how it impacts we the people negatively. Terrorism, for example, there are some Islamic radicals, the extremists that I feel like, okay, if you don't do this in the Islam way, you should be killed. And me and Mr. Otu, we came up with, okay, solutions. The first one was working society. You know, in a working society, definitely half of your prayers has been solved. So, and second one is mindset of people,
Are
through
they ready
education.
to accept these things?
So now we are looking at other ways where we can solve this problem.
So generally now, what from what you just said, you're looking at ways of is it solving the problem of religion
Like,
in Nigeria?
yeah, in Africa, because when you look at these issues, it's not only in Nigeria, Africa general. And the Western countries, it's like they practice their own religion different because their life is better. And you won't get to a street in America and see 8 churches there. You won't get to a street in United Kingdom and see 3 mosques in one street.
A real life case study of this particular issue is in Nigeria, for example. Now, if you go to a rich neighborhood,
Okay.
like the islands, or let's even say using Uyo as case study now. If you go to a wet housing, or let's even use us as case study now. Somebody like Vinny now might not be going to church. I don't know how frequently you go to church. Me, I don't think I've been to church this year. I don't know if
How
I've
many
seen your
years?
picture. Maybe once in a while.
Yeah.
Maybe based on influence, they will drag you to church because I think you stay with family and all. But generally, you see that in poor neighborhoods where there are more problems, people with lesser access to cash, they have more money, they have more monetary problems. And the more problems you have, the more you need God. You get. So now it's just the same way that we in Africa will have more problems than
Yes.
the you people in Europe or the Westerners. So we need God more than them. So it's a case of poverty. Our government have because of years of misrule. Africa has been thrown into poverty and all manner of social vices. And all those problems when they come up like this, we tend to run to God because we feel that that's the easiest way or the only way, to get results or to make progress. And then to make matters worse, our politicians have mastered the art of manipulation. Can have a crisis somewhere,
Okay.
and a politician is talking about how to tackle the issue, and they're telling you by the grace of God. You understand? By the grace of God, they are going to apprehend. What has God got to do with it? You understand? Because if it's a country where things are functional, things are working the way it's supposed to, you have very well trained military personnel, you have security cameras, you have database of all the citizens. When you start investigating, you have lead, and then it makes a lot of things easier. But in Africa, where you don't even have the database of the people living in a particular state, there are no security cameras. Even if there are, some of those security cameras are dysfunctional. It makes that's why it's better you don't get yourself in harm's way in Africa, because a lot of crimes go unpunished. So it's religion is just has been bastardized, and I think it's like you agree. You said earlier, it's it's giving us more problems than we should actually have.
Yeah.
And it's a very key part of the reasons why politicians are even scamming us. Imagine back in the days when African traditional religion was still very functional. Do you think that if you bring our president and senators and the House of Rep members and the ministers and bring all these people and put a deity here and tell them to swear? You understand? A very strong deity that we know can bet your life up. And then you tell the person to swear that if you mismanage or you embezzle funds, that the oracle should come after your family. Do you think anybody will enter office and go and steal money?
Never.
You understand?
Yeah.
But because they have managed to get a lot of things out of the way, now they will give you Bible, give you Quran, you put your hand and swear anything. You know
That's
nothing.
what I'm still telling old people that same
These
thing,
people have
Quran and Bible, and same
dealt us a very serious blow, and it's not helping us.
at all.
You know, look at the system of government we inherited from them that came alongside
The religion.
the religion, democracy.
Yeah.
It makes it a lot easier. So you first of all you swear to the Bible or Quran that you know will not come after you in this life.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
And then you enter office and the democracy now gives you the opportunity to manipulate every other thing around you. You understand?
Let's take Akwa Ibom governors as a case study. When Gospel Akwa Ibom came, people were saying because of the things that were happening in office, there were killings, and all those. We were saying, oh, that this government is a bad government. Meanwhile, the man was actually trying, like infrastructure, was trying to progress the state.
Okay. Yeah.
But they were looking at other things and were like, oh, this man is a bad man, it's a bad person. Okay, the next person that is coming now, and what's that his name?
Deacon.
He was a deacon.
Okay,
People were like,
the deacon will
people say he can trust him more. Like he has integrity because of what? He's a religious person. Like he has a religious title. He can trust him more. But what happened? 8 years of rule, no single noticeable infrastructure in the states.
Imagine.
Compared to his
Predecessor.
nothing that you can say, oh, this man did this. And the next person that came now, they left deacon and they are now taking pastor. Yes. The next person that will come now, maybe like
Bishop.
say, I tell the bishop no fits. Like,
And they are causing this bishop, this so-called men of God in power. They are causing so much harm.
they are causing more harm.
And then if you look at it, you see that if actually the government was if we had a very good and working system of government where development, job employment and all of that is in increasing rate, you see that there will be lesser churches. Because so many people, I can guarantee you, there are some churches that are springing up as sources of income.
Yeah.
You understand? Most of these pastors are trying to survive. I'll give you a case study. There was a day I went to eat. One place I usually eat, these bookers. This was like 6-7 years ago. When funds no too dey. There's this place I used to eat, a roadside restaurant. I met a man there, a pastor. So he was talking to me. As we had finished eating, he was inviting me to his church. I told him no, that then I'm a Catholic, but I told him I worship in there's this church close to Mberebe side, a very popular church. I can't remember the name right now, but I mentioned the church. I told him that was where I was worshiping. He mentioned the name of the pastor. He now told me that this man is a big man of God, that he has enough members and revenue, that I should support them that are still upcoming. You understand? So it's not about the spirituality of what is or my salvation.
He wants you to bring your
This guy is literally begging me.
He wants you to invest.
You understand? To invest in I should support them that are coming up, the small churches, the small pastors. So you see that
what they are
these
doing.
guys these are sources of
I
income.
told you this is one thing now. If you're paying your tithe now regularly to your pastor, so maybe this week you decide not to pay, you paid another person or another pastor, and you explain to your pastor that this is how it happened, and you gave another pastor
You
Your
get
pastor
very
go vex.
approved.
He will say you're sin God. Your
Now this is where God brought
abuse
you.
the anointing. All those words. They are slightly you are
During my school, university period,
I'm trying to enter your room.
if I want to go to church, I can go to any church. So someone now told me that I'm fornicate. How did she say it? You are a fornicator of church. Or she said something like I'm fornicating. Because I'm going to different church. And I asked one question that are you not all serving one God?
God.
So you are telling me I can't, is your church that have God? This church, God no dey there. So all those things.
That's why my thought was, because the question was, how do we fix this problem? My church, honestly, this gonna be a hard take, but I feel churches should be regulated. Churches should be regulated. Like, even those, I'm not saying stop churches though, but government can come up with a policy that churches are becoming too much. And okay, these are like becoming like businesses now. One thing that will actually force them to let's calm down is let's tax church.
That's what I want to say. Churches don't pay tax.
Yes.
And it's really free money to the pastor. Free money. That's why you can see a pastor for 1 year of starting a church, 2 years, he has bought an expensive car. He's buying private jets.
It's
Like what vision? You can that
Free
private
money.
jet that he said, you can never. I will never listen to anything defending it. You will never tell me that you need private jet for the work of God. I don't understand.
Says the gospel will reach our country fast.
and there are a lot of churches you come to, and you see that the pastor is maybe even like normal local churches around. The pastor is driving maybe Highlander.
And
And the members
And the members
poor.
are poor people that are driving bike and keke and minibus and all of these things.
And
And every Sunday they are doing fundraising.
every Sunday too, you will see as pastor will climb.
You get?
They brag, they boast about how God is increasing him materially. But your members are poor.
Uses all
And it's
manner
your
of
members' money.
luxury, wears suits, luxury perfumes, Prada shoes.
Then now
You get?
he will use that now to tell his member, look at how God has blessed me because I am a giver. I pay tithes. That is the same thing you should be doing.
another scope. See that lamba. There was this time in school. We were doing like an outdoor program, church program. Next thing, so the pastor started. If you have 10,000, God wants to use me for you. Blah blah blah. Come out. Do you believe? It now got to a stage. The pastor now said, if you have 20 naira, 100. The year 50 naira, 100. Run. Go outside. Come and drop it.
Blessing
Now, if you are
with someone that
calculating
gave 20,000.
100 naira, this amount, by the time you calculate everything,
Do you know what that means? He doesn't want he wants to, you know how you want to rob every single person. You don't want anybody to escape you. So that's why you don't sit down now. See, you don't call 10,000 people come up. You come 50 people who are still there. You will say, no way. I
No
must
way.
collect your money.
I swear.
10 naira come out.
And if you say now, I see some of these men as being very wicked. Because if I'm a pastor and then I'm ripping you off as one of my church members, at least the least I can do is allow you to go and work for the money.
Hell yeah.
I have churches around my house. You know that on Monday morning,
Talk about it.
Talk about it now.
Monday morning, while I'm preparing to go to
Why
work,
do you want them to get the money that
these
you want?
people are in churches singing and clapping. And
We spoke
how
about
do you
this.
make the revenue that you come and give your pastor on during the weekend if they are not allowing you to go and work? Like, how can you? Okay, maybe what you're praying for is miracle to heal one of your child or your husband or family member that is sick in the house. The only reason you're not taking the person to hospital is maybe you don't have money.
Money, yeah.
That is mostly the
Yeah.
reason.
So now, instead of you going to go and work, you're praying every single day of the week for God to come and rescue this person or heal this person. When I don't know how to explain to people that Western medicine on its own is a miracle.
Hell yeah.
If you're sick now, you can actually, let's say you have malaria, You can actually take normal anti-malaria, let's say for instance artemether lumefantrine, and you won't get better. So the fact that you take it and get better on its own is a miracle.
Yeah.
So I believe like you do the right thing. You take the medication and then you pray for miracle. And the pastors should encourage their church members to use their sense. I don't know whether people drop their brain in the house and then come to church. And then you start praying for things that God has given you the ability to solve on your own. Laziness hiding under the umbrella of religion.
At the end of the day, it's just business to them.
It's business. They know. The problem is that most of them, they know.
I saw this video that Pastor Dibuyo. Is it who can bring out $1 million or $10 million? Who remember that video?
I saw the video.
RCCG, right?
Yeah. At the end of the day, if you will deep down to people contributing that money, they are politicians.
Yes.
They are politicians.
Do you know that
appointees.
in my church, the day that politicians want to, like there are
church.
special fundraising days that they are doing fundraising programs. They have special guests, and those guests are politicians. They come, they give the amount of money to church, okay, and we pray for them, we clap for them. Money that we cannot even guarantee that it was genuinely made.
This might sound like a conspiracy theory, right? But I feel politicians use church and pastors to launder money.
We said it.
To launder money.
Yeah.
Because how can you go and donate like maybe $100,000 to a church, and then what are they going to do? I know they are going to argue that it's for the work of God. They're going to do this project, and then okay, $100,000 to a church. What are they going to do with the money? It's not that they're going to build any orphanage. They're not going to do anything substantial.
And the projects cannot be probed.
Sure.
Cannot be probed.
You understand? Who is going to probe the projects they are carrying out? And to make matters worse, as the men are becoming more and more aware and conscious of the scam that religion is, the pastors keep getting stronger hold on our women. You cannot have peace in your own house.
We even said it here that
Yes.
that now women and wives are more obedient to their
They are more
pastors.
obedient to their
Oh,
pastor.
that one.
So you go and brainwash them.
That was the
They brainwash them and then they bring this thing to your
I
house.
saw
to your
videos.
sitting
I
room.
saw videos of women kneeling down to their pastor. They've
That
never
they
knelt down
kneel down.
for their husband. The same woman. And meanwhile, not like the pastor is older than the husband.
If this is small picking of like 20 years in the pastor, then woman of like 50 something is with daddy, they kneel down and they do.
Bro, that time we still did go church, bro. Every time you release your voice praying, at some point I'll be like, Abi God, Abi, you know, Sabi shout when, because it will just be like, and normal day, now still that same prayer point from last week. We enter December, still that same face, till myself start to do things for himself. Come they see say, at the end of the day,
Since my
I just saw people on guide.
since my mama born to she don't tell them they will die by fire. Yeah, come. I don't tell them they will die. We don't tell them we die by fire. Tire.
You know,
That nigga, yo, this shit from body. You know, we die. And but the next generation will come and see the expressing prayer.
It's actually a very painful one. I don't know how to say it, but I don't know. We all see these things aside from the people that are most affected. You get, and the government, or should I say, that awareness that the society needs is what is really lacking. Because if there is real sensitization, like people need to understand that God is not listening to all these prayers and all these disturbances, because you have the ability to solve those things yourself. Rather than hold our leaders accountable, we're coming to come and be blaming God. If there were lesser potholes on the road,
Lesser accidents.
and lesser people
Lesser
you have
people in the
praying
era
that
of
God should
miracle.
safeguard
Oh,
their
God.
loved ones back to the house.
The government has solved
Do you understand?
honestly, I don't think that people in the West, like they pray, like someone is like living there, they'll pray, oh God, please don't allow them to have accident. Like I don't think they wake up in the morning thinking of those kind of prayer.
Yeah,
But
sure.
in here now,
We have
if
to
nobody
pray.
tells you that, oh, I'm going to Calabar, your brain has started calculating which drug or which pothole, or you have started praying, or
Like, how bad our roads are should be studied. You understand? It's a case study. The cars that the Americans, and should I say the Westerners, they build cars that are built for all these jungle trucks and all. We drive these cars and the normal road we are using is worse than their jungle
I think
road.
the normal road
Like
is
the road they
condemned.
will go and try this vehicle is better than what we are driving normal every day.
let me see all these
Like
small
every
cars.
fucking day. No, I don't understand. Religion, according to their preaching, everything they are preaching like everyone is equal in front of God, right? But the front seats are for certain rich
Men.
men. This kind of classism
Yeah,
in
I
church.
feel that those things now, that particular problem is associated with some churches. Like it's not like a general
Yeah.
church problem, because I know like for Catholics they don't have that, especially that those people are sitting in front, so they don't really do that in most
But
Catholic church.
but they still have their own
They have
problem because
some,
when
like
you come to all these Christian women organization,
that's where you see
Christian men
men,
organization,
that's where you see
how
all those
many poor
things.
people will you come to the church and see heading CW
Never.
or CMO?
Well,
These are always, in fact, why maybe a very qualified poor person is there waiting to be appointed. They might be begging an unqualified rich person to assume a position.
Sure,
well,
because they need the fund.
Because when they do fundraising, you will be able to open the floor with a huge amount of money for others to follow.
so at the end, everything circles
So
back
Not
to
even
money.
about Jesus again.
Everything circles back to money,
Money.
to funds, money.
Money, let's just say bottom line.
Have money.
The issue, religion is like, once you are religious, you are poor. Should I think like that?
Well, that can be argued because, like there are still many rich people, like politicians that are
Okay,
religious
okay, they
people.
are religious
Right?
people.
Was it not like is it last month that Donald Trump was like trying to say he's going to he wants United States of America to become like a Christian nation again, and they were like doing all those prayer stuff and all. So it's not really about, but the problem now is that it's poor people
Let's say religion in Africa.
in Africa
Majority.
is for majority is for the poor masses. It's for the poor.
And
Poor masses are the target.
At the target. But one thing I'm happy that's giving me like some kind of hope that the younger generation now are sort of like waking up. Because now in the past now, let's say like maybe when I was 10, there was access to TikTok, and then maybe you're scrolling through TikTok and then you come across a TikTok where someone is like trying to expose the truth. You understand? In the past now, it was even a crime to even like look at your pastor and say, see this man. You get pastors were revered like people that were dropped from heaven. But now pastor fit come here now, then he fuck up you say, oh God, come on for you.
You go ask some questions.
Yes, you can ask you understand? Before in the church. And that was one of the things that made me to like kind of like start debating community, because like there's how you sit down in the congregation, and then your person is saying things, and then you as a logical person, you're like, this thing doesn't sound right, it doesn't make sense at all. Do you get like I don't understand, it doesn't make sense, but because of how it is, you cannot ask questions. In fact, if you even like ask questions, hey, witchcraft, you get antichrist. They will just label you antichrist. Once you like want to ask questions, or they will start gaslighting with statement like you trying to question the Holy Spirit.
Okay, yeah.
They will start saying all these kind of things. But now there's more like liberty, access to like certain information. So people are like learning, growing up. You get not like people in the like interior to the villages, they will not have access to those kind of information, right? But I feel like maybe in the next 5, 6, 8, 10 years, this Africa would have like woken up to a greater, proportion. Like, people would have like known. You get. So religion would like, come.
Okay.
Yeah.
In conclusion, let's just say a working society would have solved,
Of course.
80% of the
Religion is a fraud scheme where people are exploiting others. Because if it's not, if we had religious leaders that had integrity, I can guarantee you, because if you look at the fact that a lot of people, especially women, look up to their pastors and reverends and all of that. And in the real sense of things, if you come to a family setting, a home, you know that women have more access to the kids. So imagine if we were in a society where the pastors and the religious leaders were leading an exemplary lifestyle, and then our mothers then are copying that lifestyle and transferring it to the younger ones. Now you discover that even you as a man, sometimes if you're in the house and everything is working well, you won't have much question. You won't ask too much question. You won't utter much. You understand? In as much as maybe you might not really be going to church with them or doing all of that, but so long as it's impacting your kids positively, you're teaching them the right, the wrong from the right, helping them to be better people, you will encourage it. You understand? But when all the time what you're hearing is that so pastor is doing a project, you have to support the church project, or they will go to church and then they come back with envelopes. You understand? Church project, church this, church that. You put every day labeled envelope, You as a guy, you see through the crime scene.
You be guy man.
So at the end of the day, that's where the problem will start. Before you know, you don't get bad mind where the church dey. And then when the pastor come here say you no wan make your family dey come the church, na another problem. He go begin dey set you up against your wife.
Yes, that kind of thing.
Yes, now. Before you know, you be bad person.
Sharp. A working society would solve majority of our problem. When a lot of people have access to quality education, not this kind of public schools where they don't have ceiling, they don't have window. Real education. Everybody start learning, everybody start asking questions, everybody use their head, everybody use logic. You can't even say shit about, or it's not even shit, you can't even say the truth about a certain religious leader.
If you check the statistics, the most religious countries in the world, the most religious countries are actually the poorest.
The
African countries, the third world countries, they are the most religious, which now shows you that, just like we said earlier, poverty and religion, they go hand in hand.
Now let's use, sometimes now when people want to argue that why is the country not working, right? One of the main things that they bring forward as an excuse is colonialism. The white man came and
that one is even another topic.
The white man came and do that. But now it's funny because when you look at China, which is like one of the most developed nations in the world now, they were also colonized.
Yes.
China they were colonized for a very long time as well. They suffered colonialism. But why don't we ask questions that how were they able to come out from this and they built their nation? Now, one thing that they did is they got rid of religion. They don't allow external religions. You see, in China now, their religion that they practiced, like we talked about our African traditional religion, the religion that they practiced gave them the right to, you define that you're a corrupt person, you're stealing public for your public. The right thing in their religion to do is to execute you.
And your family members.
And your family members.
The ones that are benefiting from the loot. Not just you.
So
and you know what that's in this? What it did for them is that if you hear that, if you catch your father stealing, you or your